Hi everyone, welcome back to Christopher's Models and Dioramas. Today we're going to do the base of this start to finish build. First off, we want to take our figures off. Put our elements over here. And because we figured out where we want the tree, we don't want to cover it with plaster, so use a flat tip screwdriver and you want to carve out where you want your tree to go. Now I wrapped the end of what's going to eventually be the tree with a piece of plastic, and I sealed the top of it off with a little bit of masking tape. That way, when I slide it down in here and start putting plaster around it, it should just slide right out. If not, well, it doesn't take much but a needle nose plier after the plaster is set to just pull what's left of the plastic out and kind of wiggle this around. It should pop right out. Just going to kind of chip this out, which doesn't take much to do. This stuff's really easy to get what I need to have done. Normally others would have done this in advance or made a little clip to fit into it, but because I am not that much of an expert at this just yet, I do not have the skills to just do that. Now I'm going to get a little bit of test fit on this. I'll get a little bit of twist. So what stands? No, not that good. Might take just a little bit more out of there. Occasionally this happens. Like, remember what I said, you can have all the plans you want and still have an occasional goof up on how you go about getting things done. Alright, there we go. Now I'm going to trim this plastic up just a little bit with my scissors. It's always a good idea when you're building to keep a nice set of even tweezers or scissors nearby, because you never know when you may have to trim things up. I mean, I used to have this pirate mustache for the handlebars that came out. Till one day I was, and you're gonna kind of, it's one of those safety things. And mind you, be mindful of what you're doing. I was gluing some stuff together, and it had an itch in it. So, needless to say, I went to scratch with the tool that I had some of the glue on. I did that. And just as I did that, I realized what I had done, and I had glue in my handlebar mustache. So, it's the kind of glue you just can't wash out. So, I had to trim it off. I'm working on growing it back. But be mindful of what you're doing, because you never know, and there have been other stories where people have actually went to scratch their eyebrows and got a glue stick in their eyebrows, or went to scratch their nose and had super glue. They're stuck on that, and so accidents are prone. Accidents happen. So now that that's done, I'm going to set this up here for just a second. Angle it down. Hook my clip up. One of these days I'll get a better way of doing this, but until then this is what I've got to do. Okay, set that to the side. Now, the plaster that I'm using calls for 11 ounces of water to 1 pound of plaster. Now, because I don't want this to be mixed to the point where it's going to run and slosh and go nuts everywhere, I'm not going to mix it that way. Okay? What I'm going to use is about 8 ounces of water. Now I keep a little bit more than that. There's a full cup of water in here, so I'm just guesstimating, which is pretty much a common thing to do. Now, because I'm going to fix this to where it has the earth tone already in it, I'm going to use a little bit of beige in this water to add in it. This is apple barrel paint that you can get from any craft or hardware store or any place like that. Mix this around, and the great thing about the acrylic paint you don't have to have you don't have to have oil to clean it up. Now that that's done, I'm going to use this 1/4 cup of plaster. Now remember how I said I don't want this stuff to be runny and be, easily to go nuts everywhere. Now I'm going to go ahead and stir this up. This is a regular popsicle stick, and so it stirs real easy. Some people use their hands. Personally, I don't like getting this plaster on my hands because it's a pain. Though it does wash off. You get too much of this in your plumbing, and well, you're going to wind up calling a plumber, and they're going to be, why do you have plaster in your pipes? And the wife is going to, or the husband's going to look at you and go, you care to explain that? And, well, some things are better left off unsaid. Now, in order to get this to stick, just a tad bit more of plaster. Yeah. In order to get this stuff to stick really good, here in a minute I'll show you what the color this turns out to be. Now, the reason why I add paint to the plaster mix as I do this, it saves, remarkably enough, it saves me a little bit of an extra step on having to paint. When you go to put your foliage in, and I choose the beige color because when it sets up, it's starting to, and as you can see, it kind of almost like about the color of khaki pants. Pop the bubble. In order to get this to set up on top of my the base, which I already told you, the insulation foam, I'm going to take and use some of this. This is Mod Podge glue. Now, I don't want to use a massive amount of this stuff, so I'm going to get a where did I put that? Oh, well, I misplaced something, but that's all right. What I'm going to do, is measure, because that's what I normally would do on the lid of this, till it's just about level at the top there. Now I'm going to mix that right in with this plaster. How many of you like corn dogs? There's quite a few fast food places that serve them. Whenever I get a chance to eat a corn dog, I take and I save the sticks for this very reason. Right there's why. Corn dog sticks, invaluable. Okay? I don't want the lid to stay goofed up, so take my handy dandy cleaning rag. Make sure I clean the threads out really nice. I don't want that to get stuck on the lid of my Mod Podge glue, because that's clean as you go along. It's always helpful. Put it back on here and set it to the side. And I'm going to stir this glue in here as well. There are a lot of different ways you can stir this, and some people actually use these little hand blender things, you stick it in there and mix it around. You can also use the same kind of like a chef's whisk. You've seen them like you beat eggs and with as well. But when you're doing small projects like this, a little popsicle stick never hurts. Slosh it around here. Now this stuff is still pretty runny, which I don't want that to be. I'm going to add just a tad bit more plaster. Not much more, because remember, I don't want this stuff to be runny like, runny like snot, for lack of a better term. You don't want this to be soupy. But I use 3 different consistencies of plaster when I'm building. When I need to make a mold, I use it to running like you would pouring into the mold. But when I want something like this done for like this base, I want it to be about the consistency of oatmeal, well, more like cream of wheat. Not too runny and not too solid. But when I need it to like a gravel-like consistency to make boulders with, I want it to be kind of like oatmeal, kind of chunky. So I added just a little bit more plaster to than I do water, which is what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to get it to almost like the oatmeal consistency. Now the drawback to that is that it will set fast. This will set and be hard in about 12 hours. And so once you get this mix set, because this is a combination of craft plaster and plaster of Paris. Now I use a combination because craft plaster is, well, it's easy to use. Plaster of Paris, though, because of how they mix them differently, it's a little bit more durable and can take a little bit more of a punishment, especially when you go to etching things in it. Now, yeah, this is getting about where I want it. Yeah, almost like almost a consistency of glue. Now, set that to the side. Close up the plaster. If you can get plaster in bags and boxes that's easy to seal up, it's great. You know, it does two different things. It saves animals from getting into it. You don't want them to get into it; it'll make them sick. And you know, less likelihood of it getting knocked over and a mess on your hands. So you want that done like that. So yeah, it's starting to set up. Okay, next, stuff gets everywhere. We've got that all done. Now we're going to start putting the plaster on here. Now, this is done in a way, I'm doing this in a way so that you get a general idea of how you should put it on here. Now we have it all taped off and marked. Now it doesn't mean some of it's going to get on the edge, which is fine. But you just take your stick and you want to just kind of put it on here like that, and just kind of move it around. Because it has the glue in it, it'll automatically just get right on there. I've also used these things. You just kind of scrape it on in there, just like that. Remember the part about getting messy? Well, sometimes you get a little messy along the way. It's cold and it is gooey. That's all part of the fun. I just kind of take it and move it around. Now this is the first layer of it. Before we're done, we're going to add another layer to add to some places and not so much to others. We want it to be kind of on there really nice. Push it around the tree where it's going to be, like that. Don't be afraid to move that. That was kind of like a test to show you how it pops up. And it's almost like using cake frosting. Those of you who make your homemade frosting. My youngest daughter does that. She's quite a proficient chef. She's really good at that. Matter of fact, she's the reason why I gained 5 pounds over the past few months. She's been making homemade from scratch cupcakes and things like that. I told her she didn't be careful, she's going to be the reason why I have to join a Weight Watchers Club. Even though I'm a grandfather, that does mean I have to have a pot belly, which is a rarity in my family. And there we go. Now we're going to use our stick, scrape some of this off my hands. Later on, you're going to have to come back and do some patchwork, which is normal. Don't think you made a mistake or anything. Clean out your container as best you can. Some areas you think is kind of all that touchy. But as long as you remember your formula that you use, that's the reason why I take notes. And I do mean take notes. What you're going to do is come back and redo it. Now that's done, get my handy dandy rag, clean my hand off. This will set for about 12 hours, maybe a little bit longer. And this will have almost a caramel color because of the color of the paint that I used, and which is fine because after you're done adding your foliage or flocking on top in places, because this is going to be like a desert scrub brush savanna area. If you've seen that type of environment the elephants live in, yeah, this should be about the same color almost that. But this is how you do the base. Next video we'll cover how to make boulders and flat eroded other formations kind of like that. Eventually I'm going to show you how to make cliff faces without having to spend an incredible amount of money. Now remember, you don't want this to be perfect looking on top, because you know what place is perfect looking as far as a painting goes. But that's the way it goes. So that's it on this one. Not very good at this until I get better lighting, but sometimes that's about as useful as 4 bald tires trying to go uphill in a snowstorm. But there you go. It has basically a caramel color. This will set soon. Then I'll come along and clean up the edges, but this is why you wrap that. Now your tree, you have the hole where it should go, and you can preset your set that over here. You can preset your boulders. Preset your boulders a little bit where you had them pre-planned, or where you want your tree. Because remember the glue that's mixed in with this? Well, it also serves as that purpose as well. And I already remember where I basically want the elephant, so it won't hurt to kind of place a couple more here, there, and yonder where you want. You know, just randomize them. These things happen, you know. And last but least, one over here just for sport. But there you go. That's how that is done. Next video in about 4 or 5 days, it will cover how to make the large flat rock, and I'll show you how to do the boulders. Until then, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a great time. And remember, if you're not getting messy, you're not having much fun. Take care. I hope you have a great coming week. Let's keep a prayer going for those folks that were affected by that hurricane that hit the Carolinas, as well as hit the Floridas and Carolinas recently. Natural disasters are rough, and this is coming from a guy who lives in Tornado Alley. You know, dealt with plenty of those. Until next time, take care. And have a good week.